Hello and welcome to SquishiVision, where I haven't quite set this up properly because my OBS crashed clearly before I could do that, so I'm just gonna hopefully solve that real quick. I did have it all set up, and then there we go. That's what I wanted. Hopefully that means everything is all set up just how I need it to be. Yeah, I'm sure that's all. I'm sure that's all. It's all fine. Cool. Sorry about that. Hello, welcome to SquishiVision. I'm about to watch the Indiana Jones trailer, the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny trailer for the first time. I know it's been out for like a week, but this is I've been busy. I'm also playing around with a brand new kind of setup that I have, which hopefully should help. I've basically mounted my iPad on one of my iPads on above my screen I'm looking at. So rather than being tempted to glance over here when I'm talking, which is not where the webcam is, I'm actually looking at the webcam, making eye contact. I'm hoping that's a nice new thing. Anyway, this is the fifth Indiana Jones film they're making. So I guess, oh yeah, Lily's also joining me for this stream. Say hi, Lily. She's being moody. She bit me earlier because I was offering her treats. Well, I was going to give her treats later as a surprise, but I don't want her to associate me going to the kitchen with me returning with treats. That's what she associates it with. So I put them in my pocket, and I was going to give it to her like after a while, so then she doesn't associate that me coming out of the room with treats. Problem was essentially she could smell the treats. I didn't realise they were so potent to smell, and she kept trying to get into my pocket. She managed to grab it at one point. I had to get off of her, and it wasn't a malicious bite, but she was sniffing my thumb, and I think there was like a smell confusion, and she thought it was a treat. She's really bad at that, so she bit my thumb really bad. So she's a bit, well, she's being moody as if she wasn't the one who got bit. Anyway, so yeah, this is the fifth Indiana Jones film. Kind of surprised at making it. Well, I kind of surprised, kind of not surprised. Obviously, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was not well received. I actually need to see it. Have I seen that film properly? I saw it once on a school trip coach, where you couldn't really hear what people were saying, so I didn't really follow the plot very well. I don't know if I ever watched it again, but I've seen all the Indiana Jones films. I appreciate the films for what they are, which are adventure films that are products of their time, but very much codify the adventure genre, codify blockbuster adventure, helped kind of create what we know today as adventure blockbuster films. They are very much products of their time. They're very much films that are looking at potentially very sensitive topics around culture from a white Western lens. So, but I mean, it also has Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, has punching Nazis. There's plenty to like. I am a fan of the Indiana Jones films. I'm not a massive fan. Like, out of all the franchises, it's not my top. I don't, I don't. The same way that I follow things like, I think it's the same for a lot of people. Like a lot of the other franchises, especially Lucasfilm franchises, things like Star Wars, things like Marvel, things like Doctor Who. They have a very wide breadth of expanded material. I need to make sure I don't go on for too long because my chips are ready in 11 minutes. And there's lots of things to talk about. Indiana Jones films, comparatively and lore-wise, are very, very simple. I'm sure there's like an expanded universe for Indiana Jones. I know there's a TV show which I haven't seen. The Young Adventures, the Chronicles of the Young Indiana Jones, something like that. But no one's debating parts of, well, they are debating it, but no one's, nothing's being retread. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand on this. So this is a new Indiana Jones film. I think it's been directed by the guy who did Logan, and I've not seen Logan, but I know obviously it has it was a very, very well made film, and there's a lot of kind of high praise for it. I think this is probably better if I watch it first and then I give my thoughts afterwards, and also it's better for time because again, 10 minutes and my chips are going to stop burning. So let's oh, I said let's and Alexa thought I was talking to them. There we go. So yeah, let's give this a watch and see how it all turns out.
What should I I miss the desert. I miss the sea.
Let's just start again.
I miss the desert. I miss the sea. And I miss waking up every morning, wondering what wonderful adventure the new day will bring to us.
Those days have come and gone.
Perhaps. Perhaps not.
I don't believe in magic. But a few times in my life, I've seen things. Things I can't explain. And I've come to believe it's not so much what you believe. It's how hard you believe it.
Who is this man?
I'm her godfather.
Related.
Get back!
That was a very, very fast. Ooh, that was a good random number to press. I wasn't even F5 Electrics 8. That was a very, very fast-paced trailer. There was a lot going on there, which means a lot to dig into, I guess. But also, I'm just gonna quickly do something else real quick. I realized that that line was distracting me. Yeah, there was a lot in there. So, oh Jesus, no, gosh, I thought, yeah, everything's going off. Ah, cat's freaking out. Right, in the 8 minutes we have before my food goes off, let's talk about the other day. That was a very fast picture. There's a lot going on. I will say this: Harrison Ford looks more energized in this than he does in Kingdom of the Skull. I think a lot of criticism towards Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was that he looked very tired. It was very much a aged action star doing all, pretending to do all these stunts, but not really. Here, there's more energy, and I guess there's a mixture here of stunt doubles and increased technology. But let's I'm not going to talk much about cinematography. It very much looks modern, cinematic, lens flares, the coloring. It's what I expect from the guy who did Logan. Ready to look at, and I don't think Indiana Jones has an aesthetic, a visual aesthetic, a signature aesthetic towards it. It's very much replica of the product of the time it was made in. So the first three ones are very much, 80s cinema kind of look to them. These are very much modern, both this Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and this one. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about stuff unless anything sticks out to me.
I miss the desert.
For a long time I was wondering who this voiceover was, and wasn't particularly thrilled when I found out who it was, but we'll talk about that in a second. So there's a lot of stuff happening. This, I imagine, is possibly like part of like the cold opening where someone gets killed, unearthing a new threat. And something kind of supernatural happens, and here it's like a bunch of animals attack someone from a skull. It's very much on brand for Indiana Jones. The catfall basis is very much on brand for Indiana Jones through and through. And obviously, Indiana Jones continues his day job as a university lecturer.
And I miss waking up every morning, wondering what wonderful adventure the new day will bring to us.
It does seem very well. A, it seems very globetrotting. B, as we will establish later on, there is a degree of flashbacks, which I don't think is something that Indiana Jones has done before flashbacks, certainly, except unless you count, you know, the adventures of younger than Indiana Jones. But there's a lot of flashbacks. So this is interesting because they're gonna basically tell a story which relies on something we've not seen before in a previous Indiana Jones adventure and some kind of backstory and history. And I guess that's why he gets thrust into the adventure here. And we see a whole bunch of different places, both in the past and present, a whole bunch of like different scenery.
Those days have come and gone.
Perhaps. Perhaps not.
Okay, let's talk about Salah very briefly, because as my watch is telling me, I have 5 minutes before I need to go get my chips. I like to finish this before, because I'm very hungry. I like John Rhys Davies. Is that his name, right? John Rhys Davies, as an actor. I like him for Gimli. I liked him in Voyager. I even liked him as Salah in the original trilogy of films. But him as Salah is through and through whitewashing. And I'm sorry, but whitewashing, there's no kind of way around it. It's racist. It's racist to get a white actor, darken their skin, tell them to put on an accent, and make them play an ethnic role, and deny that opportunity to someone who's actually that ethnicity. It's racist. It's. I mean, I'm not gonna go too much in detail why it's racist. I believe it is or you don't. If you don't, sorry, I wrote this dissertation on this. I am, by all intents and purposes, an expert here. I've read probably more academic papers on this than you have, if you disagree. So yeah, it's racist. I'm fine with Salah in the. I'm not cancelling John Rhys Davies or whatever, especially, and not from at least I'm not doing it for him playing the role in the past, because the product of their time, people should have known better. Doesn't make it right, but everyone was doing it, and it just, it was the product of cinema, Western cinema at the time. It was wrong then, it's wrong now, but it happened, and I still can appreciate his performance in that role in the past as what it is, the product of the time, and I can like the character for that. There's zero reason to bring this character back in this film. When you revive a franchise, when you continue a story, but you tell it from a modern day lens, that's an opportunity to kind of fix mistakes of the past and show growth. Growth doesn't apply to people; it applies to art as well. There was no reason why you needed him to reprise his role here. Indiana Jones isn't a film that's heavily involved in references to previous films. It's meant to be the blockbuster version of the episodic serial format that a lot of TV, adventure serial TVs of the time were. So, harking back to the past doesn't really fit in its feel anyway. If you wanted to, make a reference to the character, just be a perfect opportunity to make a new character. We see Salah has lots of children. One of those will come back, cast a young Arab actor, give someone else an opportunity in the industry. That's not what happened. It's a shame. I feel like I'm gonna have to interrupt this stream to go grab my chips, or at least turn my oven off, because I'm not gonna finish in the next 2 minutes. I can just tell. But that's my take on this. It shouldn't. There was no reason, absolutely no reason, to bring this character back. I don't think we should. I don't want to recast him, so we should have just left the character in the past. I mean, how many other characters are being brought back? So yeah. That's my take on that.
I don't believe.
And there's a lot of fast-paced things happening in the next series. We're gonna have to pause and stop very much. But yeah, we see Indiana Jones in his very distinct kind of apparel, looking at a bunch of idols. Says he doesn't believe in magic, which is an odd thing for him to express. But I guess he's just kind of rationalizing the supernatural things he's seen. Character in the mist that looks like Toby Jones on the right hand side. And actually,
I don't believe in magic.
Indiana Jones on the left here has shorter and darker hair. So I think this is actually part of the flashback, and a lot of the scenes which I like in a colder color tone, i.e. the blue tint, seem to be set in what I assume is it's set in Nazi, the World War II. Whereas everything we see that's more warm and golden tones appears to be modern day. There's also kind of a visual disparity here. So I think this is part of the flashback. We do cut to the other side. We don't see the face clearly enough. The face front does look a bit older, but it's hard to really tell. And then yeah, confirmed on the left, that's Toby Jones.
Times in my life.
And you see, this is modern day, much more warmer tones. This is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I'm probably saying that name wrong, I hope not, who is playing Indiana Jones's goddaughter, a new character. Particularly when they bring back Sheila Buff, so they've made this new character instead. And this is a screen grab I've seen. Oh, we have reached chip time. Stand by while I just quickly go grab my chips. Or rather, go turn the oven off so my chips didn't burn. But yeah, this is a screen grab that I have seen all over the place this last week of a younger Indiana Jones, and people praising the quality of the de-aging here. And yeah, I mean, it's got that slight kind of fuzz around it. That might just be the face replacement, because I suspect that it's unlikely to be. I don't think it's Indiana. I don't think it's Harrison Ford, I should say, who's in the body thing, just because obviously his build has changed. I mean, it might very well be, but it's probably more likely to be someone who used to have the same kind of body build as Harrison Ford back in the 70s or the 80s, and they've done kind of much like what they did with Mark Hamill in the Mandalorian, where there was a mixture of Mark Hamill being on set and then someone else came in to do like the body stuff, because obviously his build has kind of become bigger as he got older. So there's that fuzz around, but it looks good. It's hard. I mean, obviously it's like a couple second shot. They could have put a lot of effort in just for the trailer. It's hard to tell what the rest of the thing is like, but as we know from the rest of this kind of flashback scenes, a lot of things here happen in like the dark, during the night, which is good. I think it's good when, you know, people recognize the limitations of the CGI and use actual practical lighting to disguise over it. It's a trick that goes way back to Jurassic Park, which shot in the dark, shot in the rain. These help disguise a lot of the imperfectness. That's why that film stands up today. And they do it here as well. It's just they should have done it in Rogue One. I had no problem with the CGI Tarkin, but I feel it would have had much more effect. People would have been much more receptive to it had we only ever seen Tarkin's face in reflections. I think then when we actually see him turn around, there's bright light, bright white walls, and we just see his face and it looks very plasticky. So here I'm not sure, because it's a very brief shot. This is gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of me pausing and going back a bit as I try to grab the right thing, because it's literally they fade from one scene to another, and then it's barely finished fading and they fade to another. I don't know, I can't tell if this is a flashback or a modern day scene, because, you know, on one hand, I mean, I can't tell if I describe this as a particularly cold or warm scene. It's actually kind of a orange blue tilt effect here. There's a Nazis. I mean, there are Nazis wearing Nazi uniform. I think the main storyline takes place in, I think, the 80s. No, because right, hang on. The original films were set in the 40s, but they were made in like the 70s, and this is like 50 years later, so this would be like what, the 80s and 90s, I think is what we're meant to be assuming. And I don't think anyone's going to openly go around go around Nazis like even now, like, let's be clear about that. But I don't think everyone will go around where, well, some people do, but you know, whatever. So I'm not sure if it's set in the modern day or the old day. It's hard to tell. Mads Mikkelsen has that face where I'm not sure if he's meant to be de-aged or not. I don't think he's that old actually in real life, so if he was like all those years younger, he'd be like a young man, and he doesn't seem to be that kind of here. So I'm not sure if this is set past or not, but this is obviously Mads Mikkelsen as one of the villains, which makes me think that this isn't set in the past, because I don't see why he would be in the flashback sequence. I'm assuming it's only gonna be like a small part, even like the cold opening of the film. But Nazis are back, which is, so I think we went from like we were what Nazis, Indians, because racism, Nazis, Indians, Nazis, Russians, Nazis. That seems to be the
I've seen things.
Not quite sure who that actor is there.
Things I can't.
And like I say, this is the part where she's like, oh my god, like I'm gonna have to pause on like superimposed images, because it's barely possible to stop. But that seems to be Harrison Ford lying down, so you know, very much in a position where Indiana Jones is not able to, like, where he's been like kind of knocked down or whatever. My words are poor here. And here we go to remember this. Actually, maybe they have de-aged him for that previous bit, but he's still in his nice costume here. And again, and then here, this again looks like a de-aged Harrison Ford. There's not the white hair. He's on the train. I think this is set in the Nazi period when we see him on top of the train. This is probably another, and yeah, he looks kind of a similar age to what I think Harrison Ford looked like back in the 70s. There's a MacGuffin.
And I've come to believe it's not so much what you believe.
And here is a modern Harrison Ford, and with the stubble and the more saggy skin. And then yeah, USA, seeing the, you know, American pride part. So I mean, again, this looks very much like, I mean, again, there'll be different parts of the scene look posted on. I don't think this is like how, I think this is all like in camera. I think a lot of the crowds are almost certainly CGI. Some of the backgrounds probably CGI. We do that a lot this day because it's cheaper to like CGI in a city, a photorealistic city, than it is to actually film on a street. But you can sometimes tell. But again, sometimes you can't tell. Sometimes it's just a matter of the lens and the way it's bringing in colour. I remember watching Avengers and then watching behind the scenes stuff and being surprised that actually the entirety of New York was CGI and it looked photorealistic to me then. But then maybe that was like relatively a new way of doing things, whereas now it's much more common. Here we have the another antagonist. I don't know who any of those people are, but that big guy seems to be someone we see at the end of the trailer. So, and then, you know, the shot of the hat and the whip. I never really saw how the whip kept on his belt, but it was also easily accessible, but whatever.
How hard you believe it.
And then he looks like he's wearing his Nazi costume here, so I think this is obviously either this is after he's been captured and escaped, and he's getting back into his normal clothes. And then the John Williams, Indiana. I don't know if John Williams is returning for this, but his theme is going to be playing for the rest of the trailer. And then we just see some generic action stuff. Nazis getting punched. So what's this? I guess this is like what a welcome home. Oh, is this after Vietnam? I guess that would make sense, wouldn't it? Apollo. Oh no, it says Apollo. Oh, is this set in '69? No, surely not. That'd be too early, right? I don't know American history that very well. Someone else probably knows. Oh. Oh, I was trying to pause on Toby Jones. So I'm not sure if Toby Jones is wearing Nazi uniform or not. I thought he was when I first watched it, but actually I think he's just possibly. Either it's a Nazi uniform he's in disguise, or it's just I'm just missing the badges, and I don't think we can get a clear look here. But Toby Jones is apparently a character in the past, in the present, past tense, in the flashback sequence, and he's with Indiana Jones. And here we see again a younger Indiana Jones. Again, this shot is, you know, is heavily CGI, and I think that also includes Harrison Ford's face, but that's fine. This is almost like the Millennium Falcon, and I don't think that's accidental. And then we see him doing some nice whip work. I'm not sure who that is. I think he was actually in the same. I think he was actually in the background of the earlier shot of Mads Mikkelsen, which kind of confirms Mads Mikkelsen is who he is in the past. Is that is that Harrison Ford? I can't tell. And then, yeah, obviously things go wrong. I mean, it would be Indiana Jones if it wasn't some kind of high-paced vehicular chase. If there wasn't things go wrong, Indiana Jones making things up as he went along. Basically the Indy plot kind of thing. And that's just what's happening here. Lots of high-paced action. Him trying to, I guess, grab his goddaughter. Yep. Don't know who that old person is, but they're not having a great time. Horses going into the underground. Is that what it's called in America? Yeah, I mean, he seems to have more energy, even if it's just a combination of him and his stunt doubles. The character seems more energized.
Who is this man?
I'm her godfather.
Related.
Get back.
It's nice. It's actually it's a slight. I would say this is a tiny bit of a callback to the whole him shooting the sword person thing, where now he's on the other side of having a melee weapon and a whole bunch of people with firearms. And that guy, third from the left, is that guy who was in America. Got a whole 6 months before it comes out. Okay, well, that was my reaction to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I'm much looking forward to it. I think it looks alright. I'm not going with high expectations, but that's fine because I'm not a massive like Indiana Jones nerd, and now, you know, hey, here's the thing. The previous Indiana Jones films were very much products of their time, and they codified the genre. They weren't that amazing, like, you know, same with Star Wars, you know, they change the genre, but the whole point of changing the genre is things that come after you meant to do it better, otherwise we peak too early. So it'll be nice to see what a modern take of Indiana Jones kind of comes out as. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go watch it, and I'm sure I'll react to future bunch of trailers. So yeah, cheers for watching. I'm gonna eat food, and then I'm gonna do a reaction after I've eaten because I clearly can't talk when I'm this hungry on the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'll see you guys then.